ask those of you who have not subscribed to please subscribe to our YouTube channel as we continue to expose the satanic Illuminati agenda and the ushering in of the Antichrist. Today's show, I want to talk about an article I came across in regards to the Devil's Bible. This is not to be confused with the Satanic Bible, which is the Bible that the Church of Satan, the Temple of Satan, use and go by. That's the Levian Bible, okay, which is a completely different thing. These are two different things. So this Bible, which was found, which is according to legend, quote unquote, is known as the Devil's Bible because there is this gigantic painting of the devil inside, and because of the story that that revolves around the writing of the book. The book is also known as the Giant Book, thanks to the huge size of the book. It weighs 165 pounds. This book weighs. The book is currently on display in the National Library in Stockholm, Sweden. And like I said, it is a massive book. It took multiple people to carry the book. But the legend surrounding the book is that the book was penned by a monk who broke his vows to the monastery and was sentenced to death by being walled up in a coffin-like room and abandoned. And as a last-ditch effort to save his life, he promised to make a book in one day which would include all human knowledge and glorify the monastery forever. As he approached midnight, he realized that he had undertaken an impossible task, so he prayed for help. However, rather than praying to God, he prayed to the devil, asking him to complete this huge book overnight in return for his soul. The devil allegedly delivered, and the monk drew the illustration of the devil as a way of thanking him for completing the work. Okay, it's been calculated that it would take 5 years of non-stop writing to complete this entire book in its entirety. It would take 5 years of non-stop writing, taking closer to 25 years if the author stopped for food and sleep breaks. So that's the mystery around the book, how it's pretty much impossible for this man, this monk, to draw this book without help from the devil in exchange for his soul. People have studied the book and realized that the handwriting in the book doesn't change at all, so it's been proven by scientists, quote unquote, to belong to the same person, which suggests that the enormous book was written over a very short period of time by this specific person without anyone else interfering other than Satan, who worked through him. Now, a strange thing about this book is that there are 10 pages missing from the book that have been taken out of this book. And people are led to believe that the missing section contained demonic spells or curses which were removed by religious censors. Other people believe that there was specific spells and prayers that could actually summon Satan and the fallen angels if you read these prayers and performed it in a ritual sense. So, of course, these pages have been taken out. They'll say it's because of, it's dangerous to have. But we know who probably has these 10 pages and what they do with these 10 pages and how they contact these evil spirits, these fallen angels, and bring them over into the physical realm from the spiritual realm. And the previous owner of the book was driven mad after the book allegedly caused other texts to dance around the room, as well as making a clock chime constantly, until the owner was reduced to tears and admitted into an asylum. So in other words, people who have had this book over the years have become demonically possessed by reading the book, whether they're reading spells inside the book and not realizing it, whether the book just has an attachment to it, which I'm sure it does, which summons demons instantly, or, the demons are with the book. People who have read the book or touched the book or been in contact with the book have been possessed by demons, have seen demons around them, seen satanic activity, or, things flying around and all sorts of stuff, and begin hallucinating, which is an obvious sign of being under demonic possession. Because there's multiple articles about this story, about this Devil's Bible. Of course, at the end of the article, they have to discredit it and say, I'll read what the author says. Satanic inspiration doesn't stop here. There are numerous other pieces of art for which he is rumored, the devil, is rumored to have served as a muse. While he has yet to receive a shout-out in an Academy Award speech, rumors of demonic influence often surround exceptional pieces of work. For example, in 1713, the composer Tartini told a friend that his sonata in G minor was composed after a dream in which he made a pact with the devil. In the dream, he handed the devil his violin, and the Prince of Darkness began to play a haunting melody. Tartini awoke and recaptured the melody on his violin, dubbing it the Devil's Trill. Right? She goes on to say, and depending who you ask, the devil still works in various ways. Artists including Lady Gaga, Madonna, and Paul McCartney have had accusations of Satanism leveled at them. And just a few years ago, conspiracy theories swirled about the power couple Jay-Z and Beyonce's relationship to Lucifer because amateur sleuths believed Blue Ivy's name spelled backward was Latin for Lucifer's daughter. So you see how they discredit truthers, how they go through this whole article talking about the origins of the Devil's Bible, the story behind it, how much the book weighs, how it was impossible, they're admitting it was impossible for this guy to write this book in one day. Of course, they say as legends has it, because they want it to be a legend. They want it to be, they won't put any truth behind it, because they refuse to admit to the supernatural. They refuse to admit that Satan's real. So they go on to tell you this story and about how, there's 10 pages missing and possibly, they could be to summon Satan. They start making light of it, and then they go on to talk about Lady Gaga, Paul McCartney, how conspiracy theorists have leveled all these people Satanism because they're successful and can't be successful without having the devil's help. So they make light of it. They go on to make a mockery of, the entire situation because they want to discredit it. They want people out there who believe in this stuff to look like fools, and that's how they continue to work the cattle, so to speak, the people out there who are asleep, who might read this and say, wow, that's really interesting. It weighed 200 pounds. He did it in one night. Scholars are saying that, and scientists are saying it's the same handwriting, so it's got to be this guy. How would he do it in one night without selling his soul? Then they go on to make a mockery of it, saying, well, Satan's behind helping all these other people out. And, then they start rolling their eyes and they go, yeah. I mean, this sounds like a legend, an urban legend or a fairy tale. That's what they do. So they'll even take a story like this, tell you what's going on, tell you what's behind it, tell you that these 10 pages that, had the power to summon Satan, that there was satanic prayer in there that could summon demons or summon Satan himself in this book have gone missing. And then they make a joke of it by throwing in names like Lady Gaga, Jay-Z, and Beyonce. It's really ridiculous. But the story itself is interesting because obviously, as I fully believe that Satan exists, and everyone out there obviously does, if you follow this channel, you're likely a Christian or a follower of Jesus Christ, however you want to term it. I consider myself a follower of Jesus Christ. I don't really fit into any denomination. But this is how they discredit people like us. This is how they discredit the truth. By taking a story that has truth behind it, that, is a mystery almost, something that's hard for them to solve without actually believing in the story behind it. They refuse to accept that as truth, so they scratch their head and say, well, is that really possible? It must be some kind of an urban legend. And then, oh, but Lady Gaga, and oh, she's successful because people out there think she summoned Satan. So people like this are just absolutely, awful writers. This is Candida Moss is the name of this writer. Just people that go out of their way, they'll tell the story, but they have to discredit. So they'll pick up on the story that's out about this Bible, about how you can now visit and see the Bible in Stockholm, Sweden. And of course, they have to throw in stuff at the end about Paul McCartney and all these people who obviously are open Satanists. All you have to do is look at the symbols and the signs and their videos and their songs. You can look at McCartney's album, the Beatles album, which has Aleister Crowley on the cover of the album. Crowley, who called himself the Beast himself, who performed pedophile activity, who was having sex with young boys in order to enhance his witchcraft, and was writing in his books about black sex magic and how, you could obtain so much power by having pedophilia, by performing pedophilia with children. No big deal that Paul McCartney and the Beatles had this on the cover of their album. Oh, but Crowley's misunderstood. Right. Give me a break. So this story, again, I found it interesting that it's called the Devil's Bible. I find it really, really interesting that there's 10 missing pages. I wonder who's got hold of those. Oh, right, they took them out at a safety. Other people who have come in contact with the book have become demonically possessed, right? But all this stuff must be fake and fairy tale. Give me a break. So the Devil's Bible, if you're out in Stockholm, Sweden, you might want to go visit, but be careful, obviously. You might get some kind of an attachment by going near the thing. But it weighs 165 pounds, so for somebody to write it in one night when they say it would have taken 25 years to finish the book, and that's only with stopping to eat and sleep, that's it, working every single day, 25 years. And the guy wrote it in one night after selling his soul to Satan. Just more and more stuff every day that comes out about Satanism, about the devil, stories that come out, and people continue to believe that Satan isn't real, that the devil's not real, that it's a fairy tale. Every day. How many times do I report on this stuff and talk about this stuff? Evidence of his existence, but people refuse to look at it as evidence. They look at it as quote-unquote legend, when in fact it is real. Demonic possession is real. Okay, summoning Satan and selling your soul is real. This is how these people get to where they get. Okay, they summon him, they sell their souls, they work for him in exchange for the things of this earth. So don't be deceived into thinking he's not real, because he is real. I thank you for listening to today's show. God bless all of you and your families. May peace be with you.